haere mai from my heart place to your heart place, Jane Catherine Severn.
And back to you, Jackie.
Yeah, you're always my parasympathetic nervous system to my sympathetic nervous system. I love starting these podcasts with how I've met the guest, and for you it was through your beautiful book, which I'm holding up now, so The World Within Woman. And I was just telling you I'm wearing the Jane Catherine Severn colours to match the book. And your book came to me through I don't know if she was your editor or your publisher, or it was
Yes, my manuscript.
Yeah, and so she had been, so Carolyn is from my old village, and she had been to, I was doing workshops called, I can't believe how long I named it actually now. It's called the Mother and Daughter Empowered Period Workshop with Nurse Jackie. So she'd been to my workshop, and she said, I think you need this book. And I was like, okay. All right, so we connected and I got your book, and she was absolutely right. And you've heard this from me lots of times. I still can't believe Oprah Winfrey hasn't got it on her book club list. It's so good. And then from then we connected, and like I do, I Velcroed to you and said, could we co-create something? Could we collaborate something? And we did. And so for 6 months we did a Pause for Menopause program, which was just lovely, and made this is what I love about this work, is the connections that I made. So I don't know if I've told you this, but I actually in IRL, in real life, I met Jax, who had come onto that workshop. So another Jackie, another accidental advocate for menopause. So that's what I love about this sort of work, is kind of the connections and the community that it creates. And so that's how we first connected. And I just wanted to share with you, last night I went to a equinox circle, and this, which is in your book, was hanging up on their wall. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm meeting up with Jane Catherine tomorrow.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah,
You are the ultimate networker. You're so good at it. And it is the heart of making things happen, isn't it? People's energy coming together.
Yeah, and I think we've both said this before, and I alluded to it. You have the beautiful parasympathetic nervous system, and I have that sympathetic nervous system that can generate this sort of thing. And not to mention, last year we did a beautiful event in Auckland, again around the menopause, the power of the menopause, which I'm so excited to be able to talk to about all the M's, actually, all your M's. But I wanted to share with everybody who's listening or watching your beautiful bio, because it's such a cool story, and I'm in awe of it. And I mean, my discovery was later in life, so I say this to you all the time. Thank you so much for doing this work. I know it was very guided, and look forward to hearing what it's been like for you to be such a pioneer in this work, and then just so grateful for you to have done the groundwork for those who are now, of us now who have taken over the baton and generating it and expanding it. So yeah, thank you so much. So Jane Catherine Severn, you're a practicing therapist and a writer and educator based in Otautahi, which is Christchurch, and you realised in your mid-20s that there's so much more to know that we've ever been told about hormones, menstrual cycles, and menopause. You embarked on your lifelong mission of offering women a new view of themselves and the intricate and elegant, potent and purposeful design of our monthly and midlife changes. 40 years of studying women's lives from the intimate perspective of therapy practice, combined with your deep respect for the ways of nature and your absolute faith in the integrity of the female design, you gave birth to the unique and inspiring body of knowledge which you call conscious menstruality. And your original model, the femenome, which I love. And in 2005, you created Lunar House. So that's lunarhouse.co.nz. And we'll put all these links into the show notes. You're an educational and therapeutics specialty service. You offer professional development training for a range of professions in your modality, the femenome therapy. The psycho-spiritual perspective of your courses, workshops and seminars offer a revolutionary alternative to our customised medicalised approach. Your first book, holding it up now, The World Within Woman, The Feminine Guide to Your Menstrual Cycle, is available on your website on the shop. And your second is on the way. I'm just like, come on, Jane, come on, which is, of course, on menopause. And so today, I want to hear more from you, of course, but I'd love for us to really talk about those 4 M's, so the menarche, the menstrual cycle, menopause, mature life, what femenome is, and how the female design works and what it offers us. Also, more about Lunar House. And I just wanted, before I get you to go, because I can't wait, I often get invited to, as an accidental menopausal advocate. I can't remember saying yes to that role, but however, I often get invited to webinars, and I got invited to one recently, and was sort of alluded to the fact that it would be quite innovative, and so I was quite looking forward to it. And I quickly contacted you the next day because it was a really interesting experience in the sense that, yes, it was great. It was introduced to by a man, and he said something along the lines of, "Oh, perhaps I'm meant to learn this too." And I was yelling at the webinar, "Yes, you are!" And then it was delivered by a young GP, and it was very science focused, and which, fair enough. A lot of us haven't experienced the first couple of M's, so we need to actually understand some of the science. But they lost me, Jane Catherine, when they put a screen up and they took on it that said day naps, and I thought, great, they're gonna talk about how good day naps are. And then they said, and avoid day naps. And I was just like, no. But I did stay to the end because I really wanted to stay for the question and answers. And my question was, which is what I shared with you, I said, I am proudly one of the 1 in 10 who have left her job during perimenopause. And I shared with them some knowledge that you've shared with me, which totally lands. And I said that I know that my hormones weren't the problem. My hormones showed me the problems. And my question is, when are we going to have a world where it is equitable for women to show up just as they're designed? And it got flipped around, and he said, and Jackie's got a long question, and her question is, how do we speak to our employees about menopause? And I was like, no, I did not say that. And that's when I contacted you, and I'm like, Jane Catherine, we need to start telling people about the magic of menopause. Help me. So here we are. Yeah.
So here we are. Good. Thank you for inviting me, Jackie. I love talking about the 4 M's. Where shall I start?
Well, I mean, my first question to most people is kind of like, we've heard how long and how dedicated you've been in this. Like, what's it been like? Like, I know what it's been like for me, and I was 46 when I actually discovered the true power of my menstruation. And by then I'd been menstruating for over 30 years. I've been a nurse for over 20 years and a woman for 46 years. And I've had, it's been really challenging, experiencing other people's opinions and judgment. And I'm so super curious, like, what's it been like for doing that for 40 years?
It's changed over that time. In the beginning, I could not find anyone who was interested or could even imagine that there was another way of seeing these things. I found one book which got me started. That was, some of your listeners may have heard of it. It was published in the 1980s, I think, and it was called The Wise Wound, Menstruation in Every Woman. Excuse me, morning voice. And when I was first shown this book, I turned my nose up at it because I wanted nothing to do with that sort of thing. But I did flip the book open and I saw something written on one page in that book, one sentence on one page of that book that turned my life around so completely. And this is something that generally I think women know now, that menstrual cycles match the moon cycle. I had never known that. But I think even though we do tend to know about it or have heard of it these days, it pays to stop and really let that in, because it's not just a metaphor or an ideal or a myth or a lovely poetic archetype. What hit me with such a force the day that I opened that book was, okay, if that's a real thing, if that's an actual physical reality, then we're living in a world where we make sense as we are, not a world where we don't quite make sense and should keep our female processes hidden and out of the way of the real world, as we're taught to call it, the world of commerce and expediency and a masculine designed way of living. For so long we've felt, well, we don't quite fit because of these awkward and embarrassing and disruptive processes like menstrual cycles and menopause that we're ashamed of, and that we're led to believe we're very clever and successful if we can live a life as if our 4Ms were not happening. And I want to say, wait a minute. That cannot be true. I cannot accept that the hormonal design of women is a faulty model. Yes, I fully accept it does not fit very well in the male-designed expectations of us, that life should be consistent and unvariable, and we should be predictable and be able to function the same last week as we did next week. I don't accept that nature makes faulty models. Nature doesn't. Nature makes designs that work. And if we believe our design isn't working very well or causing us problems or is by nature difficult and capricious, then we need to look again at what we think normal is. We really do. So if we are to start from a place of believing, okay, this is my design, I am different every week of the month, I do go through a huge change of functionality and feeling at midlife, then we have to get curious and say, oh, I wonder what this design is trying to do. I wonder what the optimal design of being female is, because it seems self-evident, but I think it's often overlooked, that our hormones are designed to make us female. They are not design compliant with the patriarchy's expectation that we are the same every day and every week. They're not ever going to be compliant with that model. So we should give up that thought that there's something wrong with us if we're not compliant. We should give that up right away and begin with, okay, what's the female design? What's optimal functionality for being female? And guess what? It's not consistency, it's variability. Femaleness is all about flex and change and things that are not in straight lines. So curiosity is the key energy, the key feeling to bring to this, to all of these questions. Curiosity and a faith that being female makes sense. If it doesn't seem to make sense, then there's something wrong with the definition of normal.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And what was coming up for me was often I'll say to women of my genre, the Gen Xers, the baby boomer babies. There's lots of us who are transitioning, and I invite them to be curious, like, what's the message that's coming through? And every single time they can answer it straight away.
Of course.
Not necessarily action it, because they're quite big, brave actions in a world that is still telling us that normal is another way. And that's where I believe, I know it's not even a belief, I know that's where Heart Place Hospital comes in, is creating some examples of normalizing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It has to be supported. I think you're hitting the nail right on the head. The reason why menstrual cycle and menopause experiences are distressing for women, well, the first reason is because we're trying to fight our hormones and not let them do their thing. But the second reason is it's totally unsupported. And you're talking about providing a supported experience. Menstrual cycles and menopause, whole hormone design is meant to be a communal. You know, it's meant to be all experienced together. Life is supposed to revolve around how we are. We are not supposed to be adapting ourselves to how we aren't. So just the work you do at Heart Place Hospital, allowing people to be as they are rather than try and be not as they are, that's the magic. And this is where curiosity comes in, like, oh, how can we design our societies and our way of life in a way that our hormones are asking for, in a way that will resonate with them? And this is where the moon comes in. The moon is a mirror of women. You know, we've always had these archetypes. If the moon is a mirror of women, that must mean other things in nature resonate with us, or we with them as well. And when I began, as soon as I knew about the moon, I thought, oh, there's a whole lot more knowledge that we've never been given, and I'm going to find it, because I was so convinced. I could just feel that with that one little scrap of knowledge would open a whole world of bigger knowledge. And sure enough, although I had to do it completely on my own for years and years and years, there were no books for me to look up. Doctors' surgeries had no information to offer me. Libraries were full of books about these are the horrible symptoms you'll experience and these are the medications you'll need. There was no internet, and even when there was, it wasn't any more use to me. So I had to go back to the original template, the original source of this knowledge, which is what is going on in a woman on its own terms. I had to put away everything I'd ever been taught and just open my eyes of curiosity and look at what happened in women's lives. By then I was in my therapy role, so I had lots of women's lives to look at. Yeah. All my friends got scrutinised, and of course my own cycle. And it's a lot like the legend of the Holy Grail, you know. Parsifal, the knight looking for the Holy Grail, he was supposed to remember, his mother told him before he set off on his mission, you have to ask the question, what are you for? When you see that Holy Grail, you ask the question and wait for it to answer you. He forgot. He was so gobsmacked at the sight of the Holy Grail.
I forgot to ask the question.
And the vision faded away. And you know what? That's where we've all been stuck ever after. We see the mysteries of menarche, menstrual cycles, and all the things they do around a month. We see menopause totally messing with women's endeavours to fit in with the patriarchal culture. We see mature life, which is not valued in our culture, and we think, oh, I hope I never get there. And we never ask, what's the original design template on its own terms? So that was my question. Why on earth would women's cycles and menopause do these bizarre and weird and disruptive and troublesome things to women's lives? Like, why would they? And that question, why would they, wanting to get the answer from the hormones themselves, it really did open a whole new world. It's like clicking on a hyperlink on your screen, a whole new world opens.
Wow.
That's exactly what it's been like. A design emerged, and this is what I've named the femenome, the 4M sequence that starts at menarche when we get our first period, or even before that when our hormones start to announce that things are changing inside us. Then that's menarche. It goes on for a few years. Then that's where the soul has come into a physical body and she's learning to be feminine in the body. So those girls need a lot of support, just explanation so it makes sense, because they're stepping into a period of their life that goes on for half their life, probably, somewhere between 30 or 40 years, a long, long time, where their life moves in a 4-week cycle, which would align with the moon. If we didn't have electric light, we'd all ovulate on the full of the moon and menstruate on the dark of the moon. So our societies would be able to operate as they used to, according to the menstrual cycle, the rising and falling energies. So every day of the cycle is meaningful and purposeful. We all know that our hormones affect us physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And that the design of the cycle is actually beautifully, intricately created to ensure that we get to experience life through each of the 4 faculties. We think we're only allowed one, which is mental, you know. You're so irrational. And it's like, yes, I am other than rational in parts of my cycle on purpose, so that I can experience life through an emotional lens, so I can feel what really matters, how much and why, what needs my attention, so that I can experience life from a spiritual perspective when I haven't got much energy, I'm bleeding, I want to stay at home and with my hottie in a cozy armchair and not have to do outward things, because my hormones are calling me to listen to my spiritual self, my inner self. It's all purposeful, and it's designed to develop a woman in balance, her inner life, her outer life. She yo-yos between the two beautifully, all during her cycle years. So one of the things I say is that menstrual cycles are secondarily for making babies. menstrual cycles, and the whole femenome design is primarily for making self.
Yeah,
We need to understand this. There's so much to us.
Yeah, I love that. And I just, a lot of people resonate with what I say here is we're designed to feel, reveal, deal, and heal. And for me, that's what my hormones have allowed me to do. And I also talk to people about like our boundary wounds aren't to define us, they're to refine us.
Oh, you're such a word genius.
So are you. So are you. I got it from the baton. And that supports me, and I know so many others, when it is uncomfortable, because it is uncomfortable. And I love this word, and I've just read this book and I got this word from, so comfortable, and breaking it down to conforming, unconforming. So when we're unconforming, it is it is icky. It's icky. And I know for me, like I'm nearly at the day. 14th of August this year will be the day, if the universe doesn't give me a belief before then. And this weekend, there's a group of us who have created a ceremony for someone it's their day, if she doesn't bleed before then, and to honour all those that we haven't celebrated, because we haven't. And I know for me, there's a lot of unconformable time.
Yes.
But I have, and one was recently, and someone invited me to be curious, and it was around where I was experiencing joy, and she was saying to me that she wanted to experience joy, and she wanted to connect with people and have it, around drinks and food and things like this. And I was like, okay, well, that doesn't sound like joy to me. And I thought, oh gosh, and I really thought about it, and I thought, oh God, I'm going downhill. It only lasted a few seconds, and then I was like, actually, no, I really experience joy in nature. So I swim every morning with a group of people, the Salty Sisters, and then I have crafted a life that suits me. Like, I also live near a forest, so I spend a lot of time in the forest, and plus live in a property with nature all around it, and that is where I now experience joy. So quite different to what was my normal joy.
Yes.
And this is the sort of thing that I want to see more examples of, is that we of how we're actually designed, like how we're designed, and how we can actually be the self-healer that we are. So like you're saying, through contemplation, through curiosity, through being witnessed, through being held in space, through circles, through ceremony, these are where we can actually start having opportunities of being that self-healer and navigating these big, massive transitional. I mean, you think about what we go through physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually in each of these transitions.
Yes.
It's not Disneyland.
It's so big and so unacknowledged.
Yeah. And I think that's I keep referring to myself being accidental. So and there have been periods in my time where I've looked back going, oh man, I'm so gutted I missed out on my menarche and my menstruation and my motherhood. I missed out on all those transitions. But boy, oh boy, I'm not going to miss out on this one. And I'm really refining those wounds that I've got, so that they don't define me, so that I don't sit in that victim martyr, bummed out, feel like I've been duped, and be that mother, grandmother who can create, I've created two human beings, wow.
So unacknowledged.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just it's a tough road. Like there is, I'm standing on the shoulders of big giants, and you're one of them. I really mean that, Jane Catherine. To think that you've soldiered on, you've been a warrior for 40 years on this, and many others, and so I know that, and the revolution is forming, but there's a long way to go. Like I still, like you say, social media, LinkedIn, there's, at least we're talking about it now. We're talking about these areas.
Yeah.
It's still very science. It's still very science, though.
That's right. And it's still very HRT.
It is, yeah.
It's very HRT, which is understandably, and I do want to acknowledge, as you are, it's uncomfortable, it's disruptive, it can be scary. We are not in control. It does not suit the life we're asked to lead. So what you were saying about wounds healing, and I want to really emphasize this. Our hormones, especially as we approach menopause, the time of life you were talking about, one of the things our hormones want to do, they're like the officials at the border, customs officials. They are going to go right through your bags. Even if you turn up saying, I've got nothing to declare, they'll go, oh, really? And your hormones will go through everything in your luggage to find what might limit or burden or grieve your life in the next chapter. In the territory that you're traveling to through the gateway of menopause, they want you to arrive there with nothing in your luggage that's going to hold you back. So they're going to go through everything, and they're going to put it right in your face. And we think, oh my goodness, my hormones are ruining my life. I must go and get some fake ones, to make my life better. And I would not blame any woman for looking in that direction if she thinks that's the only thing that's going to help her. Because it can be so frightening having the woman you thought you were, competent and effective and able to do stuff and be organised, suddenly all of that dissolves or breaks into jagged pieces. You think, I've lost myself. Help me. Of course you do. It's alarming when no warning is given, no meaning is given, and no support is given. Because, yes, menopause will take apart the way we've put ourselves together for the earlier part of our life, quite rightly, and, appropriately for that stage. We've put ourselves together in a certain way. It's going to take all that apart and reconfigure us. And if we don't know that that's a benign and purposeful change, it's going to feel frightening. And it's outrageous that it's unacknowledged and unsupported. And every woman going in there in isolation thinks she's going crazy. We mustn't let that continue.
No.
That's just too disabling.
I feel like you just spoke to me, like right through my soul. It's interesting because the work that Heart Place Hospital does is care for our carers. So, and 90% of our frontline workers are women with an average age of 48. Well, what happens at 48? A massive transition. And you're right. There is no hiding. There is no hiding. Like, there's no way you can avoid this. And I know for me, that staying on what I call the hamster wheel, that it literally would have destroyed me. And so I am proudly one of the 1 in 10 that left my role. And interestingly, what has come out of it is this inner utter strength that I never ever knew that I had. And I would have perimenopause, I would have, like, I literally, like, out loud to people, I would say, I'm jelly, I'm a marshmallow, I'm a softie. Like, there's no way I could stand up and speak up and show up, and there's no way I could write books and do podcasts and create a charity. There's utterly no way. And then here I am, still transitioning, and I've done all those things. And
absolutely,
so,
yes.
yeah, and so that's what I so dearly want to be normalized in the world, is that all these 4 M's, just the magic, the utter magic that is in there. Yes, it's uncomfortable because we don't have a society that is equitable for us to show up as we're designed. And the only way that we can change that is by creating community, and by showing up and speaking up and showing the light that can be shone from these transitions. And, there's so much ick and doom and gloom and blah, 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 all the things happening in the world. And you and I know, I don't need to convince you, you don't need to convince me. We know that it's the mothers and the grandmothers, and it's our magic showing up, and it's Papatuanuku, we are nature. It's us that's showing up in the way that we're truly, truly designed. And look, I have taken one for the team, big time, and luckily so have many others. So as have you, big time, Jane Catherine, big time.
Yes, there's nothing small or mild about the 4Ms. They are big. They are big community.
So, but where to next? Like, where to next? What do you see? Like, what's where do you think it goes? Like, is there going to be this crescendo, or is it just going to build momentum?
I would expect that it would build. I think it's building already. Like everything feminine, like a pregnancy, it starts on the inside, and it has to reach a certain stage on the inside before it comes out. So I don't think that the right place to start is talking to employers. It's a great thing to do, but the right place, to my mind, to start is helping women understand that what's going on in their inner life is the place to pay attention to for themselves, with their friends, in groups, that we need to have a trust of this. We need to know how to drive this beautiful, intricate machine or design that we are. We need to know what it's on about before we can convince men or structures or, politics or anything like that. We're just demanding change before we understand what wants to blossom. We may not get as far as we could. It has to start with our own acceptance that all the things we've been taught are horrible pathologies, and they do feel like it. Let's talk menopause, like hot flushes, memory loss, can't think straight, can't sleep, headaches, hot sweats, all the things that make it very hard to continue normal life. If we can get curious enough to start understanding them as our teachers, our inbuilt guidance system, totally non-compliant, as we said, with what we've been taught to define as health and well-being. If we can learn the other kind of health and well-being that is feminine, we will have something to bring that will be unstoppable. It's what's missing from the world is the voice of the mature feminine, particularly. And I totally admire the history of feminism, but I do think it went off track a little bit, quite understandably, when feminism was trying to demand equality by saying menstrual cycles and menopause don't affect us. How dare you suggest that they do? You know, well-intentioned as it was, I think that was a great mistake. We need equality as feminine beings.
Yeah, I say equity. So we need what we need to reach the same space, as opposed to having the same. Yeah.
We need ways of living that are female friendly.
Yeah.
Not much to ask. We are half of the human race.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, the most powerful part too, I might add, because we're the ones that create, whether it's life or solutions or.
We do gestate in a different way, yes. And I have no doubt that the masculine hormonal energetic progression through life, the real design of that will be something amazing too, and that they'll be designed to be complementary.
Yeah.
Men have to find their one, we have to find our one, and find how they make sense together. But you know, Jackie, you were talking about how you naturally go to nature for your, you know, to fill up, to make sense, to relax, to find this amazing self that you are. And you're quite right, because the feminine design, once we see how it's designed hormonally on the inside of us, it's like, oh my goodness, it's a holograph. It resonates exactly with the design of life in every one of nature's fourfold rhythms, of which there are countless. And in the big knowledge bodies of the world, you know, in the cosmologies of how we understand the pulses and the nature and the unfolding of life and consciousness, it's all the same design. So your natural inclination to go and seek solace in nature is perfect, because we're a holographic dot of everything nature does in feminine design. That's why I with humbleness and with respect, I want to question the age-old maiden mother crone. I know it's sacred, and I want to say, is it time now to consider evolving into a fourfold model of the feminine? Maiden mother crone clearly leaves somebody out, which is, you know we don't just go from mother to crone. We know there's this whole stage that you've been describing beautifully. And we know that all of nature is fourfold. We know there's 4 seasons. We know there's 4 tidal movements. We know there's, 4 of everything. That's the building blocks of nature. So I am wanting to invite women to consider a new paradigm of the feminine: maiden, mother, changing woman, crone. Because if we can see ourselves in that 4M light, bingo, we instantly fit everything in nature. We can see the holograph. And we can see that's why the femenome does what it does at each stage. It's match seasonal movement, the pulsations that all life goes by. We make sense.
I know, it does. And I love that. I'll never forget this, when we did an event together last year, and you talked about from motherhood to menopause is the apprentice to the alchemist. And I had an event at Heartlands Hospital this weekend, and I really witnessed that. I was like, wow, really so many more of us are not being defined by these stories, by these events, by the experiences we've had, where redefining ourselves and becoming the light at the top of the lighthouse, so that women can see, actually, hey, that looks, I'm going to stick around. That looks pretty cool.
And rather than breaking our hearts because we can't operate in the energy of the masculine, it's like, oh, but I've got this energy. It's different, but it works.
Yep.
I know how to operate it.
Yeah. It's. I'm excited. I keep saying this in all my podcasts. Actually, I'm excited for this time. So super honoured to be here to witness it and to be part of it. Like, like actually walking, being a pioneer and building. Creating, that's the word I'm looking for, creating these opportunities for others to join the revolution. And yeah, like you say, from the inside out, like, go within and you never go without. I love that saying. We need to see examples of others and create these soft lands, these safe spaces that we can show up, whether we're mad, sad, bad or glad, knowing that there's nothing wrong, bad or broken with us, that we are within our wholeness, and we're going through a season. And good, I just want to highlight this, in perimenopause, that season can be literally 1 second. It can be spiral so quickly. 1 minute you're crunchy and the next minute you're euphoric. So
But you don't get to develop and grow by staying the same.
No, you don't.
The commandment of menopause is thou shalt not stay the same.
That's true.
She'll do whatever she can to break up the grip we have on staying the same.
Yeah.
Because she's got our best interests at heart.
It's quite a comedy show, really. It's like, really?
It makes a whole lot more sense if you understand what she's trying to do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it really would drive you mad.
Yeah. I've got my husband and I have got this. Like, I'll be like, right, I'm either the hot mess or the hot healed success, and he'll be like, which one are you now? I'm like, just on the hot mess express, laughing while I'm on it. So
all that at once.
Yeah. But and it's good, and just it's great to have some more of these guys, and I feel for them, because as much as patriarchy's probably suited them a little bit better, they've still had these wounds of watching their mothers and grandmothers and daughters being burnt at the stake through the change of times. So they've still got their own boundary wounds to reveal. Yeah.
It has not been okay with them to be trying to carry everything. Their energy's been overextended, just as ours has been diminished. And we need to bring that balance back. It's been hard on them in ways they probably don't even realise yet.
Yeah, it's lovely. We're attracting more and more men into Hunt Place Hospital. Yeah, and with curiosity, and I think having Sean as part of it, it kind of attracts. Okay, curious, and amazing to see the feminine side coming out, and it's very healing for particularly if they're in couples and they're seeing that together. It's pretty magical. Yeah.
Yes, what a good thing you've created.
Thank you. So just to end, I'd love for you to share with those who are listening what's in your heart place and what are you cooking. I know there's a book cooking. I'm awake every night waiting for the book for about 3 a.m.
I dearly hope to get that book out this year.
Amazing.
And the other things that I'm focusing on particularly at the moment is I've made a new therapy modality called femenome therapy. And it's very specifically teaching therapists how to work with the phenomena, which I spell with an F, the phenomena of menstrual cycles and menopause as catalysts of consciousness and, developmental thrusts or turbo thrusts in the case of menopause. So to recognize the femenome design and work with that to offer women therapy is very exciting new development in psychotherapy. So that's taking some of my time, and I've been to the UK last year and Ireland and hopefully go back this year. So and of course my seminars, my workshops, my courses are always available for women anywhere in New Zealand or in the world. On my website you can see what I can offer, and I can go anywhere to offer those. So I'm 68, I'm just really want to get as much of the word out to as many women as want to hear it. So in whatever ways suits them. So here I am.
Me too. And I just needed to add my last bedside nursing role was 2.5 years ago. And I was a school nurse at an all-girls high school, and I'd been at a women's circle and I first heard about the power of the menopause, and that's when I started the mother-daughter power period workshop with Nurse Jackie. I can't believe it was that long of a name. And it was my innate nature, it was my inner knowing that came out. And I had 800-900 young women who actually looked forward to their menstruation, to their period, because they knew that they could come to the wellness room, and I would put them into bed with a weighted blanket, an essential oil, a crystal, an eye mask, a herbal cup of tea, maybe a patch, a heat patch, and I'd set the alarm, and I'd say, "Now just dream your biggest dream," and then they would wake, and I'd ask them what should come through, and we just would have the most magical conversations. And and it was interesting because I would share it with lots of other school nurses, and they'd be like, "No, we don't have time for that." And the time that I spent on that, like, I often wouldn't see that young woman back the next month, because they actually were given the permission to be able to be self-healers in that respect. So I truly believe that we reduced our pharmaceuticals, we reduced our absenteeism, we reduced the amount of times they were out of class by giving that full one permission. It really, truly did not see this returning.
Yes.
And they really, it really did make a huge, huge difference. So I really think this work, the small things are going to make a really, really big difference. So
world of difference. Imagine if that was happening in every school.
I know. I know. It's my big dream.
Yes.
We can do it, Jane Catherine.
Spread the word.
Yeah, we can do it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Once again, I'm just in awe of you, and thank you so much for the life dedication you've put into this. And I feel very proud to have received so much from you, and together better,
It's such a pleasure and a privilege to be on your podcast, and thank you too for extraordinary creation of Heart Place Hospital and all that it does and all that it offers and all the words that it's spreading. You're amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.